talk about some Prey and Predator and some Native American girls.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 78 of the Gene Pool Variety Hour. I'm the old guy of the group. I'm the dad. I'm Sean. The guy on the other screen is...
Greetings, everyone. I am QuillMiester, aka Connor, aka the real brains behind this operation. He just makes me look good.
He is hashtag Team Connor. I'm hashtag Production Monkey.
Exactly.
So, we're father and son, nerd duo, that we just kind of hang out and talk random movies that we pick.
You don't even have your own hashtag Team Sean. It's just hashtag Production Monkey. So there's
only
one
because
team.
nobody is hashtag Team Sean. Everybody is hashtag Team Connor. Nobody's hashtag Team Sean.
Because I bring the funny.
I don't even know if your mom would be hashtag Team Sean. I think she would be hashtag Team Connor as well. So
yeah, she would. She definitely would.
Of course she would. Of course she would, because kids went out. So anyway, so we always just kind of hang out and play, watch some random movies to talk about. And although this week it wasn't so random, and we always come up with some kind of nerd-based geek question. Sometimes we tie it into the movie, sometimes we don't. And then just whatever nerd stuff comes along the way, we chase a lot of chickens. It usually sounds like this. So that's what we're doing today. You can see from the screen if you're watching the Twitch live stream, if you're watching the VOD, or you're watching it on YouTube, we're going to be talking about the 2022 movie that just came out, Prey, which is the Predator sequel. Of course, that'll
prequel.
Prequel, that's what I meant. That's what I meant to say. Dadgummit.
You said sequel.
I know I did. I recognize that.
How can it be a sequel if it's set 300 years prior? Read between the lines?
Yes. So anyway, so we're talking about the prequel to Predator called Prey that just came out, and then of course that'll also lead to us talking a little bit about the original, the iconic 1987 Arnold Schwarzenegger classic action movie Predator with Carl Weathers and Jesse the Body Ventura and all those folks. We got a geek question.
You forgot the biggest name. For one,
I said Arnold Schwarzenegger at the very beginning.
No, you didn't.
I did. I said the Arnold Schwarzenegger 1987 Arnold Schwarzenegger action movie. That's exactly what I said.
Okay, then you actually start listing actors, and I'm like, wait, what?
So anyway, we got I think could be a fun geek question. I'm sure Connor's going to come with some great ideas. I don't really have any good ideas yet. I'm just going to kind of wing it, which is what I usually do. And then I'm sure we'll talk about some Dragon Con stuff because it's literally just like, 3 weeks away?
Yeah, basically.
And then kind of go from there. So, yeah. So where do we want to start tonight?
Let's see. I've started my Fem playthrough of all the Mass Effect games.
Oh, you're doing Femship?
Femship, Femrider. Yep.
Okay.
I decided to start with writers since all the info is still fresh in my brain, because it just beat it on the male side.
Right. Okay.
Let's see. Work sucks.
That's why they call it work. They don't call it play.
No, but okay. I used to enjoy my job. I loved getting my hands dirty, building, maintaining stuff. I liked that. Yeah. They don't have me doing that anymore.
So what do they have you doing now?
Effectively, I am pushing carts on the assembly line, making sure everybody has the parts they need.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, that's it. Right.
So they've taken you off the other job permanently?
Effectively, I covered that position when nobody is available to fill it, and because people like to A, call off, B, not show up, and C, we are understaffed on first shift. I've been basically there every other day for the past month.
Okay, so it's not like they took you off the other job; they just added more for you to do.
Exactly. No,
Okay, gotcha.
it's certainly an addition. And an addition would mean I would do that job plus my other job. No, it's
Right.
I walk in and I either go to my regular station or go online.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So
So,
that sucks.
yeah, I'm sorry,
But
dude.
but hopefully that'll change.
Yeah, maybe.
Because honestly, being on my feet all day like that, it sucks because a my boots are old and I don't really have the spare funds to get brand new boots or even brand new sole inserts, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And and then also pushing those carts is dangerous sometimes because on some of those carts there's this little piece of metal at all four corners that's there because they used to sit on the ground and you move them with either a pallet jack or a forklift, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then sometime in the past they put wheels on it but didn't take off those pieces of metal.
Mm.
Yeah, last Tuesday I was moving a cart that must have been at least 1,000 pounds, and so it took a lot of strength to get it to start moving. So all that momentum was coming towards me.
Right.
Then I had to abruptly stop because I know someone in my peripheral walking behind me, and I didn't want to run into them. So I
Mm-hmm.
stopped it, and those pieces of metal I mentioned,
Yeah.
they are just high enough to basically completely miss my steel toe, and then all that weight and momentum just came crashing right into the laces and tongue of my boot, which then, of course, went right into my foot.
Nice. Sorry,
So I
man.
was so I was doubled over in pain for basically 2 days from that.
Yeah.
And then earlier today, when I was moving a cart of the same design
Hey,
with those
Kelly.
pieces. Hey, Kelly. When I was moving carts with that same little piece of metal at the
Yeah.
end,
Yeah.
it hit my steel toe just fine, but it also cut through the fabric straight to the steel toe. So
Yeah.
so now one of my boots has a big flap of freaking fabric and stuffing and leather just like hanging off the steel toe.
Nice. I went to
Yeah.
school for a really long time, so I wouldn't have to have a job like that.
Shut up.
No, no. I'm saying.
I'm not a
I'm.
book learner. I'm
I'm
life
saying.
learner.
I'm saying. I don't know that it was a fair trade-off, but I went to school for a really, really long time. And did the whole grad school thing and that whole thing. But I have friends. I mean, that they went to
How
college, but
how
they
in debt
just.
are you, by the way?
I'm not in debt at all. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
oh, okay.
I
How
didn't.
long were you in debt for though?
I didn't go into debt going to school at all.
Wait,
Ha.
really?
Yep. Because
I feel like
um
all I hear about, I feel like all I hear about when people talk about college is student loans. So how did
yep.
you not get that?
So
How?
here's the deal. Here's the deal. So my undergrad, my dad put me through school.
Rich
Your
dad, of
granddaddy put me.
course.
He. I had an apartment. Now he made it. He made it heck for 4 years because every month I had to call him like, Dad, can I have my money for the month? You
Hmm.
know. So and I had a couple of small scholarships. I should have gotten more, but my high school advisor was horrible and was no help whatsoever. I didn't even know that there were scholarships available coming from a small school, so I didn't know any of that process. So it wasn't that expensive because I was in-state tuition, and I shared an apartment with somebody. And then when I went to grad school, my grad school stuff was paid for, man. I got a fellowship. I worked 20 hours a week, either in one of my professor's labs or as a teaching assistant, and that covered my tuition. That paid for my tuition, and I got a stipend. So my schooling was paid for. As far as living expenses, I had friends that got loans because they needed living expenses. But of course, I was married to your mom, and she was working in heart surgery. So she basically supported us and gave us a place to live and food to eat while I was in college, while I was in grad school. So I lucked out. I didn't have the $150,000, $200,000 in student loans that some people have. So I got lucky about that. But anyway, so wait. Yeah, well, probably. But that was I just did that.
That's why you're so screwed up. That's why I'm so screwed up.
Kelly, I
It
just
all
did that
makes
stuff.
sense now.
I just did that stuff for fun. I didn't get paid for that. I just did that for fun. But anyway, so
Were
So yeah,
you
but
the
I had
giver or the receiver?
you know, funny you should mention.
Wait, what?
Funny you should mention. My master's thesis was based on Milgram's work, where he had people. It was demand characteristics, and he had research subjects give shock to other people. Now, he thought they were Confederates, so the other people weren't actually getting shocked, but they acted as if they were. And I did the same kind of thing, not with shock, but with a noxious noise, to test how certain people would react to certain kinds of people. So that was my master's. I won't go into all the detail because it's boring. But anyway, so that was that.
What about
But
what
God,
about
that was a
your,
weird chicken. That was a weird school chicken.
what ooh dad valedictorian.
Well played, son. Well played.
Also, just another random
Or
chicken.
you could go valedictorian.
But we're not ducks.
I know, but if we're going on the,
chickens.
I'm just saying that just the bird theme and duck.
Anyway, out of curiosity, what
Not
was your
funny.
doctoral
I'm sorry. I'm
thesis?
just not funny. What?
What was your doctoral thesis?
My doctoral, my master's thesis.
Was a shock thing.
Well, this is weird. My master's thesis was measuring the concept of hypermasculinity in males, and their let's see, aggression towards homosexuals. So hypermasculinity and so I had subjects come in, and they were doing some task on the computer. And the other person, who was another classmate of mine, they pretended to be my research subjects. And if they got something wrong, then the college student subject had to emit a really loud, obnoxious noise into their ears. And they found out, the subjects found out that the other person was heterosexual, homosexual, or something. And of course, this was back, in the 90s. So this is before now, the culture we live in now, right?
Yeah.
And so then we measured to see whether they admitted more noxious stimuli to homosexuals versus heterosexuals. If they did it more towards homosexual males versus homosexual females. It was just, and I don't remember the results. I remember it trended in the right direction. I don't remember if we proved my hypothesis or not. But anyway, so that was the master's one. The doctoral dissertation, I developed my own theoretical model of sexual aggression. So that was another whole big deal. So. And it actually kind of worked out, but I just didn't have enough. I didn't have enough data to fully support my model, but the data was trending in the right direction. And my dissertation advisor said, when I graduated, he says, you can keep doing this if you'd like to. We could get this published and kind of go somewhere with it. I'm like, no, I'm going to go hang my shingle out and go talk to people. I don't want to do research anymore. I did not get into grad school to go into academia. Thanks, but no thanks. Go ahead. You can have it. And left. Of course, nothing was ever done with it, but I bet you if I pulled it back out and got some people and did some research, it probably would work. Anyway, wow. How did we get to my dissertation? How did we get to my dissertation and my thesis? That's weird.
I just always liked hearing about this stuff, because I like how it engages my mind,
You're more than welcome to read it if you want.
Sure, send it to me.
It's only 250 pages.
Yeah, I've read books I've read books longer than that in a day.
I know, but not research. You haven't. A nice story, but reading research that talks about p-values and t-values and significance levels and theories and all that kind of stuff.
I think you meant to say awesome, not weird.
Yes,
thanks, Kelly.
I know. I appreciate that. Anyway, so that's that. Back to nerd stuff.
Oh yeah, nerd stuff.
Although that was pretty nerdy. That was a pretty nerdy conversation. But
it was it was Frasier nerdy because it was all about academia.
I'm listening. So anyway,
so wait, Dad.
Yes.
I'm just not realizing
what
you are somehow a combination of Frasier and his dad.
Yeah, pretty much.
So then,
Yep.
wait. What would that make me?
I'll talk all the psych stuff and all those kind of things and classical music and
As
all that
you're
kind of
having
stuff.
a beer, watching
As
the
I'm
game.
sitting on that nasty, ratty Barca lounger drinking a beer. Yes, that is, and watching the game. Absolutely, that is me. I am a study in contrast. Yep, that's me.
You are the ultimate crane.
I I am. I'm the Uber crane.
I gotta
That's right.
watch that show again. I loved Frasier. That was a good show.
Speaking of
I
shows,
I loved the development of it.
seen any good ones lately? I just started watching one last night. I don't talk about, but anyway,
Let's see. You should honestly give Archer a shot.
I've heard of that one. I'm not a huge animated show fan. I mean, I've heard it's
you should still give it a shot.
freaking hotness at it.
John Burnham does an amazing job. It's a very engaging kind of show.
So
Let's see what else. I've recently started watching MASH again. That's a show that will never go out of style. 50 years from now, I will still be binge watching MASH.
right. I mean, it's one of those classics you always go back to. I'll go back to it periodically too. Yeah, Sandman is definitely one that I want to see. I haven't started it yet.
I know a lot of anime I could recommend to you.
And no, that's okay.
No, come on.
I just started last
Come
night. I
into
just
my
started
web.
watching. I just started watching Legion.
Doom.
I've always kind of wanted to see it, and then never started watching it. And I said, you know what the heck? So I watched the first episode of Legion last night, and it's kind of like we're like X-Men and the Mutants, and it's kind of a freaky psychedelic kind of thing. It's kind of cool. Kind of got a cool vibe to it.
I still need to watch The Boys.
Was it
I have
April?
not watched The Boys yet.
Is it April from Parks and Rec? Who was Chris Pratt's wife in? What was her name? What was her name?
April Ludgate. I'm blanking on her actress name.
Okay. Anyway, she's in it. Of course, spoiler alert: she died in the first episode, but she's still in it. Just to let you figure it out.
She's a ghost. She's a zombie. She's
kind of like a
witch,
vision of the guy.
necromancer.
She's kind of a vision that the guy sees of the. I started watching season 3 of The Boys, and I like the concept of the show. I like some of the storylines of the show, but I really struggle with how gross they go and the directions. And I'm sure the comics were just like that. So
Did you like Soldier Boy?
I know who Soldier Boy is. I know he's from Supernatural, but I mean he's all right. But
no, did you like the character?
no, because he's a male form of the anatomy. Yes, he's.
That's not a bad word, Dad.
And it's just it is. I mean, I agree. The characters are good. There's such deep complexity in a lot of these characters, but man, they just. I mean, one of the guys. Okay, Connor, I'll give you an example. Okay, season 3, episode 1. I haven't watched the whole season yet, but episode 1. There's a guy.
Talking about the Aquaman guy?
No, I'm not talking about him and the octopus.
With an octopus?
Huh? Yes, I'm not talking about him and the octopus. I'm not talking about that. And Shelly or whatever her name was. But anyway, no. There's a guy who's kind of like their version of Ant-Man.
He actually went up someone's butt and exploded them?
No. Well, he went up another hole, orifice, through a little tunnel. I'll just leave it at that.
Hole?
Yes, because it was apparently something that the other guy liked. Yes. Oh, Kelly. Yes, that just gives me just horrible images. So,
Okay, yeah. Thank you. I'm good.
I struggle with it for that reason, because that just goes. It goes beyond my nature. So I'll watch it and then I have to get away from it for a while. So that's the only reason why. I love the characters and I love the storyline. I just wish they could do it in a way that didn't push it that far in the direction that they push it. I don't mind the exploding.
Amazon does that a lot, Dad.
I don't mind the exploding.
Amazon and Netflix do.
I know, the exploding brains in the guts. I don't mind that stuff. For some reason that does. But man, the other stuff just it goes too far for me. But yeah, The Boys.
Yeah,
I haven't started watching. haven't started watching Umbrella Academy yet this season. It came out, but anyway, so Legion looks like that's probably what I'm going to finish. There's 3 seasons of it.
Have
I'm
you
probably gonna watch
watched
it
Vox
first.
Machina yet?
No, I haven't. I've been kind of meaning to.
Dude!
I know. I hear it's good, but I don't really know much about it. Okay, Kelly, we'll see you later.
You don't
Thanks for
have to
popping
know
in.
a lot about it. Just watch it. It can be a standalone thing. Just freaking watch it.
I don't even know what it's about.
It's basically the chaos of D&D brought to animation.
Okay. Well, for us old school people, there was D&D brought to animation. On Saturday mornings, it was called Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay. No, that was
Now that's what you call
basically
old school.
animated cheesy Power Rangers with
Yeah.
weird classes.
Yep.
The freaking acrobatic.
Was she? Yeah, I guess she was, but still, there was still other stuff. So anyway,
Still, this is that, but better.
I'm sure.
Please,
Okay.
Dad. Okay. I will watch anything you tell me to watch if you watch Vox Machina. Free reign, okay? Okay, tell me what to watch and I'll watch it.
I don't know yet. I'll have to pick something. I want to pick something that will be very uncomfortable for you and difficult for you to watch.
I've watched everything, Dad.
Downton Abbey. I'll make you watch all the episodes of Downton Abbey about British royalty and the aristocracy.
Okay, I'll do it.
I'm kidding. I watched it with your
okay,
mom. It doesn't do anything to me. So, okay.
So watch Vox Machina.
Okay. When I can only watch one, I can't watch multiple shows at the same time. So I'm probably gonna binge.
There's literally only 8 episodes. You can watch it in a day,
buddy. I'm not like you, where I'll
day afternoon.
Hey, I'm not like you, where I'm gonna watch an entire season. I'm not going to do that. I have a life. I have other things to take care of. I have a lawn to take care of. I have a house to take care of. I have other things. Can't sit and just do that all day.
4 hours max.
So we're going to move on now.
Yeah, we're going to move on.
Let's
see. Oh, another thing.
Yes.
Me and Nick's made a new friend.
Yeah, you told me that. Okay, we can talk about that later. We can talk about. Well, I mean, we were talking about that earlier. I mean, you made a new friend, like from your Dragon Slayer store, right?
I met someone through the Dragon Slayer Discord server. Dragon Slayer is this awesome nerd shop, like 15-20 minutes away from me.
Sure.
And we started talking more. Have a lot of common. So I invited them to my server, where I have all my other close friends and D&D players in, and then they all hit it off. She and Nick's really hit it off, and then today they went and got lunch, and then they came over and hung out after I got home from work, and we basically hung out up until 15 minutes before I started doing this.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So it was fun.
Good. I'm glad. I mean, look, it's good.
It's been a while since we've had a real IRL friend. You know.
Well, and it's easier to do it when you're younger than when you're older, like me. And it can be kind of difficult when we're on the nerdy side. I get that. That's why most of the friends that I have are online, and they're my fellow podcast folks and Xbox folks. Now, that being said, we're starting to develop some good friendships with some people at the church that we now go to. So that's good. Had a big Saturday get together at our Sunday school teacher's house on Saturday. That would be what would be called a Saturday get together, because it was on Saturday. It would be kind of weird to have a Saturday get together on a Thursday, but anyway, so that's good. But as an introvert, I do better with online connections than real life connections. So anyway, it is what it is. So how about we move on? Let's do some Geek Question stuff.
Okay.
Want to do the Geek Question?
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. And I want to have them answered immediately.
All right. So
I'm
what's
going
the
to give
question?
up on that.
So what's the question?
All right. To tie into our movies, if you were being hunted one-on-one by any fictional character or celebrity, who would it be, and how screwed would you be?
Okay. I mean, okay. I
I
didn't
have
know we were
three
going to do
answers.
celebrity, but go ahead.
No, anybody. It can anybody.
Well, I was thinking more along the lines of, fictional kind of characters, not necessarily a real person,
I know.
But anyway, so that's the direction I was going. You do whatever you want to do. I don't care.
Okay, so let's see. Number one. Excuse me. Jeez, I got the hiccups. Ow. You go.
I don't
gotta
know.
get rid of these.
No, you go ahead. I'm waiting. I can play some organ music while you clear up.
Yeah, please.
Oh no! I changed it. The icon changed. It's from Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo. Breakdancing combat. Oh, that's a weird breakdancing chicken there. Are you ready? Okay, well, I'll go ahead and give one while you're, doing the Heimlich on yourself over there. Gollum. Now, just because it would be interesting to try to track him and him track me, because, I mean, that's the thing. In those movies, they're trying to keep an eye on him, but he's tracking them the entire time,
Yeah.
So, and he's a squirmy little dude. And he's super strong. But the hobbits were able to kind of take care of him and handle him. So I think I could take him, but
as you're tracking him, he's singing his fish song. So just a sweat.
Yeah, that. So I guess that's one that popped in my that's one that popped in my head is Gollum, just for the fun of it. And I don't know how screwed I would be because he never actually kills any of the main characters. So
He
maybe
bites off the finger of someone.
Okay, I can live without a finger, dude.
It depends on the finger.
It's like fighting the chicken versus fighting the lion, doofus.
Again, I would still fight the lion once a year.
When I told your mom that question and what your answer was, she just laughed. She's like, okay. It's been nice knowing him. I'm like, I know. Tried to tell him. So, anyway. So, Gollum would be one that I would want to chase. Let me think of some more while you give me another one.
All right. Hold on. I've got the answers somewhere here.
Okay. Riveting radio.
Where are you, son of a bucking buck?
Okay, see, I count on you
I
to have answers.
I had the answers written down.
I count on you to have your answers to give me time.
I can't remember my serious answer. I can remember the other two, but I can't remember my serious answer.
Okay, well, give me one of those.
Okay. The funny answer was Morgan Freeman.
Why Morgan Freeman? Okay, I got to hear the rationale for this one.
Have you never heard of that classic meme of the guy asking his friend to do an impression of Morgan Freeman hunting him?
No.
I can smell you.
I haven't. I have not.
Well, that's a popular meme. That's a popular audio of of that. And I want to hear the actual Morgan Freeman whisper that in my ear as he comes up behind me.
Okay.
I can smell you.
All right.
It's just freaking funny. Oh man. And then I have another answer, but I don't think that's appropriate for family friendly podcast.
Oh, yeah, we shouldn't probably do that. Do you have a serious one?
Let's see. I feel like I would be absolutely screwed if Legolas hunted me.
Oh, sure. Why do you think I didn't pick him?
But that's the thing. I mean, I mean, yeah, I would not win against Legolas. Legolas okay. I would be okay. Um, what's the farthest? Hey, Dad, you are a sniper expert. What is the
No, I'm not a
farthest?
sniper expert. What do
You
you
know sniper fun facts. Is that
Some,
more
but I'm not a
accurate?
sniper expert. Anyway, go ahead.
To your
Just because I worked for
knowledge,
the military
how
for a few years doesn't mean that I'm a sniper expert. What the heck does that come?
you also did a lot of sniper research stuff when playing some of those video games, didn't you?
Yeah, but golly, man,
You
yes.
took us to the sniper school to take a picture out up by the sign,
No,
in which you were then almost arrested.
No, I didn't take you to the sniper school to get a picture. We were going to Providence Canyon for a family vacation, and I saw the sign, and I pulled off on the side of the road and jumped the guardrail to get my picture at the sniper school sign. As the MPs were coming around the corner saying, "What the hell are you doing on base? Get off base! What are you doing?" And I had to tell them I play a lot of Ghost Recon with my buddies on Xbox Live, and I'm the sniper, and I saw the sign and thought it'd be kind of cool, and they laughed and said, "Okay, good, leave." So yeah, so there's that.
Anyway,
I do have that picture. I should put it up on Discord. I do still have that picture.
To your knowledge,
Yes.
how far can someone accurately snipe someone?
I think the world record, it could have been broken. I think the world record was 1.6 miles.
Okay.
I think.
So
I think a Canadian sniper had that, but it could be different now. It could have changed, but I think it.
But
that sounds right.
But I mean, Legolas could pick me off from freaking 2 miles away. I bet.
He couldn't shoot an arrow that far.
Are you sure?
1.6 miles? Shoot a bow and an arrow? No.
What if it's a magic bow?
He might have the accuracy and the vision to be able to see you, sure, but he doesn't have this. I mean, no, that's not part. That's not part. They don't have the super strength. They have super agility, so he couldn't do that. So
again, it could be a magic bow.
Another fun fact though, with the snipers, you know, you see in movies when guys get sniped, they get hit in the front of the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not right. Because
where do people normally get sniped?
Okay, well, with these super long shots, I don't mean like a 400-yard shot, but like these mile-long shots.
Yeah.
They have to take into consideration gravity because the distance is so far.
Yeah.
They actually have to account for the curvature of the earth. It is so far. And so the bullets don't come in this way. The bullets come in this way. So they typically aim them, and they usually hit them here towards the top of the head. They don't come in this way because they're coming in at an angle. They come in this way. So, but that's for those super, super long shots. I mean, I've shot a sniper rifle when I've gone to the gun range with the guys when I was working at 400 yards and hit targets at 400 yards with a sniper.
Hey Dad, how badass did you feel?
That was pretty stinking cool. And even at 400 yards, you sit there and you go, boom, ding, because you can hear it hit the metal.
You gotta wait for it.
Yeah, you gotta literally gotta wait for it, but you can hear it because it's a metal plate. You can hear it ding. So that was kind of cool. So, but that's other stuff. So okay, golly, man, I'm drawing a blank. I'm trying to think of some cool movies and stuff. If I wanted to die really fast, how about John Wick?
that was my serious answer. John Wick. That's what it was.
Yeah, John Wick. I would
die.
That's if I really just wanted to die. If I just wanted to die, I'd say, "Hey, John. Hey, man, let's do a one-on-one. You know, let's do that." I'm trying to think of something where there would actually be some hunting involved. I don't mean like hunting deer, but I mean like hunting and tracking and finding each other and, you know, using our wits about us to find each other and all that kind of stuff. I wonder, you know.
Deadpool.
I'm trying to think. Trying to think who else. I'm trying to think of like some really cool, like more human kind of characters that would be interesting. Hannibal
Your dad,
Lecter,
Ron
maybe.
Swanson.
Huh?
Ron Swanson.
Ron Swanson. There you go. That would be a fantastic one. Absolutely. Ron Swanson, hands down. Yep. That would be fun. Ron Swanson.
Oh wait, what about Dwight Schrute?
Yeah, Dwight would be another good one. That would be fun. If you wanted to win, Michael. But yeah, I think
Or Andy.
Ron Swanson would be a good one. Dwight would be a good one. Trying to think of some other folks in shows. Ferret Face from MASH would be fun just to take him out.
Major Frank Burns.
Yeah, just to take him out.
Just
But I'm trying to think of somebody that would be challenging but realistic, though. I'm trying to think who that might be. Can you think of anybody in literature or in movies or video games that was be more like a realistic hunt? I'm trying to think of somebody.
Do they have to be human?
No. Because fictional. It could be anything.
From Mass Effect.
Okay.
I feel like that'd be fun. It would turn into basically a head-on collision brawl, but up until that point, when he could track you.
Yeah.
Oh, Dad, did you know Erdnot Rex is 14,000 years old? Oh wait, 14.
That's pretty old. 14,000 is pretty stinking.
That's what I meant.
I was about to say 14,000 is really stinking old.
1,400. That's what I meant. I'm sorry, but still.
Okay.
So think about it. That would mean that okay, if the Mass Effect universe takes place in basically the 2180s, 2190s, that would mean he was alive before the turn of the first millennium.
Yeah. True.
Think about that.
Oh, I know.
How trippy is that?
Right.
And then Liara, she was only 100 when she was introduced into the games. That would mean effectively she could be born right now, like she could be being birthed right now by matriarch Benezia somewhere.
Yep. Sorry, I'm looking something up here.
You're not even listening to me.
I am. You were talking about Liara being 100 years old. She could be born right now. I get that.
Yeah.
Think
about how
man,
trippy
I
that
wish
is.
I'd had more time to think about this one because I'm trying to think of somebody else.
I gave you a week because I asked this question at the end of the last podcast.
Yeah, no, I'm just not, buddy. I've been kind of busy. I have this thing called a job that keeps me pretty busy, and then I just don't think about it. So
you just aren't applying your ADHD brain well enough.
No, I apply it to too many different things. That's the problem. Too many different things. It's all over the place. So
prioritized.
So
the
yeah,
podcast
so I'm trying to
should be top of the list.
I got another one.
What's up?
Christopher Walken. Yeah, I'd like to go on Christopher Walken, probably as his character from
Bang.
Oh God! Now I'm drawing a blank on it. True Romance. The character he played in True Romance. That's probably what I would like.
I've never seen that movie.
Kevin Spacey's character from Seven. Man, that would be a creepy hunt back and forth. Ooh, that would be a creepy one.
Oh, Dad, how about Norman Bates?
Nah. I think Kevin Spacey's character from Seven is much more intelligent and much more challenging than Bates.
Kevin Spacey or the Zodiac Killer?
I don't know enough about the Zodiac Killer. No, just that character from Seven.
Really?
No, look, just let it be known that I would die in all these hunts. There's not a single one that I've said that I would actually win. Unless maybe Christopher Walken, just because he's older than me and he's not getting around as good as he used to. Maybe. But all these other fictional characters, I would die with every one of them. John, Gollum, whoever else I mentioned. Maybe not Frank Burns. Maybe I could take him out. Ron Swanson would
You can definitely take him out.
Ron Swanson would definitely take me out. I mean, you know,
You could probably you might take out Dwight.
Yeah, maybe that's true. Maybe so, but
He's smart, but he doesn't know how to apply his smarts.
yeah,
You know.
So right. So anyway, okay, yeah, I couldn't come up with anything. Do you have any other answers for that one? Who else you would like to be in a hunt with?
Not really.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of any other games that I play. No, nothing in Destiny. I'm trying to think if there's another kind of character that I would like to hunt or be in a one-on-one hunt with. But anyway, okay. So how about we talk about these movies?
Okay.
Okay, let's talk about these movies. So it's time for it's time for roll for credits. It would help. It would help if you didn't chow down on these huge pretzel sticks as we're recording the podcast. But hey,
Pretzel rods.
it's just a production suggestion from #ProductionMonkey to not do that. But anyway, so okay, so do you want to talk about Prey or do you want to talk about Predator? I kind of want to talk about Predator first. And we're not going to talk a lot about it like we are Prey. Prey's the main movie.
You talk about Predator. I don't have anything to say about it.
Oh my. Okay. How about you mute your mic until them hiccups go away? Jeez Louise, dude. So no, I mean, look, when I heard that Prey was coming out, and it was a prequel to Predator, man, I haven't watched Predator, Predator 2, any of those in so long. And they were free to watch on Hulu as well, so I wanted to watch Predator. I watched it earlier in the week. 1987 classic Arnold Schwarzenegger stuff. Carl Weathers, like I said, Jesse the Body Ventura, and it's one of your iconic 80s action movies. Complete with your one-liners, your cheesy jokes, your cheesy comments, gratuitous sexual humor that was not necessary. I mean, just that kind of stuff. It was heavy on action. It's light on story. There's really not much. It really, the story in those 80s action movies was just a pretext just to get to the action and the explosions. And that's pretty much what it is. And so as far as what it was in that 1987 movie, it's an icon. It's iconic. It's one of those movies that when you talk about 80s action movies, this is going to be one of them that comes up.
Okay, I'm good now.
So that being said, I mean the Dutch you son of a bitch kind of, thing where they lock arms. I mean, that's a classic meme. Get to the Choppah is a classic line. I mean, there's just so much classics, so much
If it
classic
bleeds,
stuff.
you can kill it.
Right. If it bleeds, it dies. So there's so much there. And I mean,
it's if it bleeds, you can kill it.
Okay. So that being said, I mean, it's classic. I enjoyed watching it. I had fun watching it. Man, it feels so 80s. The music, and you don't think about it, but most movies do have music going almost all the time underneath.
Yeah, they do.
But when it's done well, you don't even really notice it. It sets the mood, but you don't notice it. But man, those action movies from the 80s, the music they play underneath is always there, and it's always ding dong ding. It's all this kind of stuff, and it was just constant through the entire movie. So much so that I'm sitting there going, dude, cut back on the synthesizer a little bit. Do something. Just let's get a little bit of mood stuff, not just all this dramatic dun-dun-dun stuff going on. And so that was very classic 80s stuff. And so, I mean,
out of curiosity,
yeah,
I can never figure out where they were in Predator. Where were they? Bolivia.
They said it multiple times in the movie.
I never picked that up.
They were in the jungles of Bolivia or something, somewhere around in there.
So
anyway, we're not going to talk about that.
I thought they were in Vietnam.
We're not going to talk about that movie. I just wanted to kind of bring it up to contrast it to this one, to Prey.
Of course.
So
Prey was better by far.
so Predator is your classic, iconic 1980s machismo, nothing but guys blowing stuff up action movie in every sense of the word, and that's
Spit and
why
chaw.
it's a classic, and that's why it's an icon. But like I said, it's very light on story, and it's really just an excuse to blow stuff up.
What are you waiting for? Kill me! Kill me!
So,
yeah, that some good lines.
now contrast that with Prey. Prey is set in 1719. It's a prequel, obviously, and it's the portrayal of the movie, the plot of the movie. It's the first time the predator has come to Earth to hunt. It's the first time, and it's 1719, so it's moving towards, Revolutionary War. So it's before that. It's set in the Great North Plains, which Great Northern Plains, you're thinking Montana, Idaho, North South Dakota. It was filmed in Alberta, Canada, which you could tell because it's much more mountainous than a lot of those other places. Now, I mean, there's mountains in Idaho and Montana, but not like the mountains we were seeing in this. This was clearly Canada, but it was beautiful. So it's set there. They're Comanche Indians, and Naru is the main character. She's a daughter, of this family. The father had passed away before the movie started, so it's just her mom and her older brher in the tribe.
Their mom is their medicine woman.
Yeah, and so
She has a brother, Tabe.
I just said her older brother. If you'd been listening, I didn't say his name, but I said,
sorry.
So anyway, so it's the three of them. He's a fantastic hunter. She wants to be a hunter, but she has to go out and get roots and do the hunt, the gatherer stuff. She's learning all of her mom's medicine woman stuff,
which comes helpful later.
It absolutely comes in handy. But she wants to be a hunter, and she has a good relationship with her brother, and she's trying to establish herself as, hey, I can do this too. And she's really smart, which you see play out in the movie. And she sees the Predator ship come into the cloud. So she sees it first, and she's like, okay, something's going on out here. And then she
calls it a Thunderbird.
And one of their friends, it goes missing. He got attacked by a mountain lion. They find him. She provides treatment. They're taking him back. They decide they're going to hunt the mountain lion, her and her brother and one of the other guys. And then that's kind of where it all starts, because it is the mountain lion, but the hunter's there as well, and the hunter's hunting the mountain lion and everything else, and it becomes this cat and mouse kind of thing. And eventually, there's the confrontation, and several of the Comanches are killed by the predator, and then it becomes this thing of fighting back and forth, and him trying to kill everybody, and them trying to protect themselves and kill him. In the middle of that, you have the French-Canadian trappers that are killing the buffalo for their fur, and they capture her and her brother. So there's all this stuff going on, and they get used as bait. So it's the same kind of storyline as Predator, in that the Predator comes to hunt, kills some people, and then it becomes this who's hunting who and who's going to win out in this one-on-one hunt kind of thing, just like it was in Predator. But it's a teenage girl, or you're assuming teenage girl, maybe in her early 20s, Comanche Indian with a bow and arrow and an axe,
and a
versus
dog.
This guy. Yeah. So I'm gonna talk about the dog later too, but it was. So that's the plot. But I just want to talk about. I just want to talk about how much I loved this movie.
I want to say something first.
You go right ahead, man. You go right ahead, because I got stuff. I love this movie.
Okay, two things. One, Arnie, any awards you got for Predator, yeah, they go to this movie now. Okay, this was the superior movie. Accept it and move on, okay?
Okay, what else? You said two things.
Message to Schwarzenegger. Second,
I'll make sure he gets it.
Second, okay. If a single girl barely out of her teens,
Yeah.
with nothing but a Native American bow, a tomahawk with a rope, and a dog can full on kill a predator, and yet full on kill and behead him, and yet frickin' Arnold had a whole group of guys beefed up to heck, MiGs, assault rifles, grenades, and he couldn't even kill the thing. His predator kamikazed himself. He needs to take lessons from this girl.
Now, you need to understand something.
What?
It's 300 years later
Mm-hmm.
in Predator.
Yes.
So the Predator's technology is much better than Prey's Predator's technology was.
No, I saw basically the exact same technology, exact same cloaking, exact same heat sink. The only things that were different were his freaking biter shield thing, his shoulder cannon was basically a bunch of Yondu arrows, right?
Right.
And then he had these little discs that that could fly out and then wrap around and cut things with.
Right. So I'm just saying.
And the classic claw thing from his arm.
Right. So I mean, the technology
Predator had basically all of that, except he didn't have the shield. He didn't have any other gadgets. All he had was the claw thing, and then a shoulder-mounted cannon. But then otherwise, this Predator was much better equipped.
No, I disagree with that, because the shoulder-mounted cannon were like tracing missiles that exploded, as opposed to these arrows that were just arrows.
But thanks to Prey's Predator's helmet, it had lasers synchronized to the helmet and to the gun, so that whatever the laser was pointing on, that's where the arrow went.
I know. I just liked seeing that these were earlier versions of Predator's weapons.
And in a way, they were more badass. They were more hunter-like, which is what the Predator is meant to be,
right.
A hunter, not just a psychotic killer, which is what Predator was.
But Connor, think about it. I mean, humans have done the same thing. I mean, we used to hunt with bows and arrows
and spears and traps,
right? And now we hunt with rifles that can shoot a mile. So, I mean, it's the same concept, just more deadly. And I think the same thing was true with Predator. And plus, Predator's helmet was more protective in Predator than in Prey, just because of the material that it was made of. So, I did see
time. The Predators, the Predator from Predator. We got to figure out a better way to say this. Okay.
Anyway, okay. Schwarzenegger's Predator.
Still though.
Okay.
SP.
We'll say 87 Predator and 2022 Predator.
Okay.
8722.
Got it. 87.
Whatever. I don't
care. Then his thing was a lot less huntery, because if you remember, his freaking cannon thing blew a hole the size of a watermelon in Billy's chest. Or no, wait.
No.
Who was
Billy?
The Chaw guy?
It was that was Jesse Ventura with the big gun.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. Still, that's not hunting. That's just massacring.
I know.
There's no honor in that.
But you have to look at
this one. In 22, he was a lot more in tune to what the predators are supposed to be.
Right.
Hunting to gain knowledge of the species and to get up and close.
So if you think about it, then in both movies they were fairly equivalent. In Prey, they were both more primitive type hunters that hunted and tracked, whereas in Predator, because they had more advanced technology, just shot and blew stuff up. I mean, if you remember that scene when when one guy got killed, they literally cut the jungle in half. They cut the trees in half with their guns because they're firing so much firepower,
that's
right?
True.
So
That's true.
they're still kind of equivalent in both movies, just because of the technology. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
I still feel like Prey was much more satisfying.
Now listen, I completely agree with you. I found, and this is what I was talking to some friends about.
In my opinion, Predator was a sci-fi SYFY quality movie compared to Prey.
No, here's the difference. There was a 1987 production quality movie versus a 2022 production quality movie. You have to look at it that way. Not you can't compare the production qualities as equivalent because they're 40 years apart almost. They're literally 35 years apart. So you can't do that. But I mean, the technology of their heat-seeking vision and this kind of stuff in '87 was pretty cool for '87. So, with some friends of ours that have seen the movie, Mitch and Brandon, and their podcast, Divided by Werewolves. And if you're watching this, listening to this, go listen to their podcast. They just came out with their most recent episode where they talk about this movie. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but I know that's one of the movies they talk about. And they do much better job of diving into movies than we do. So go check out their podcast, Divided by Werewolves, and check out their most recent episode where they talk about this. But I know that most of the folks in our Discord kind of have Predator as their number one movie, and this one is their number two. And I definitely flip. And my reasoning was that Predator, it is your iconic 80s action movie. It is one of the classics of that genre, of that era, and it will forever hold a special place in my heart because of that. And in terms of just the 80s, blowing stuff up, shooting stuff, explosions, all that kind of stuff, awesome. As a movie that tells a story that has something there where I actually have kind of an emotional connection to a character in the movie, to me, Prey was light years beyond that. It was so much better than that. As a movie, it was better. The cinematography, the
writing,
the writing of just the plot, because like I said, in the 80s action movies, there was basically a plot that was just thin enough to have one so that you could blow stuff up. This one had a story. Now I've heard some people go, all she did was go around and brag about how good she was. I mean, very misogynistic kind of comments that I saw on Instagram and YouTube, and I'm like, come on, really? Anyway, so I'm sorry about that. So those people are just trolls, and I have nothing to do with them. But I thought this one as a movie was much stronger than Predator. As a classic blow 'em up action movie, Predator is got more of that. So
I love the ingenuity Naru had.
No, right. Listen.
The way she tied that rope to her hatchet and basically reinvented a way to use a tomahawk was freaking badass.
Well, I mean, that's what I said. I mean, she basically came up with what did I write it down here? I thought I wrote it down here. I did. It was.
It reminded me of something I saw in Assassin's Creed 3.
No, listen. It came. The immediate image that I had was Go-Go from Kill Bill and her meteor hammer with the big ball with the blades on the end when she was fighting.
I've never seen Kill Bill, Dad.
Oh my goodness, we need to watch that one. We need to watch that one in here. Please, let's watch that one so we can talk about it. Just so I can talk about Kill Bill.
Maybe some other time.
Not next week, but soon. We'll have to do that. Anyway, yeah, I thought that was really cool. Now, logistically, the way an axe works and the way you throw an axe having a rope attached to it, was that really going to work well? Probably not, you know? And so I think the throwing the axe with the rope attached to it was probably a lot of CGI, which is something that some people have complained about, that they thought the CGI was too fake and the blood was too fake. And I'm like, no worse than some of the other
Compare it to the blood in Predator.
I mean, and it's no worse than some of the... Uh-oh, we're out of time. Hold on. We hit our hour, man.
I missed the klaxon alarm.
That's too loud. It was too loud. It was too loud and not nerdy enough. So, anyway, the CGI was no worse than some of the other stuff that we've been seeing lately that, sometimes it's got now...
I thought the CGI looks great.
Our movies and stuff have gotten such high resolution that it's actually made the CGI to me look worse, because you can so much easier tell that it's fake, because the resolution on the real thing is so good. So anyway,
honestly, I can't see that.
I can't think of anything about this movie I didn't like, to be honest with you. I loved her character. I thought her brother's character was a strong character. I loved their relationship with each other.
Dude,
that look, I will say. No, listen, I will
up against a predator on horseback.
Yeah, that was
in
pretty
the
cool.
Trapper camp.
Yeah,
just
that was pretty
full
cool.
on classic Comanche warrior
that
yelling.
Was cool. Yeah, that
freaking the spear, freaking the shooting him point blank with the arrow, just laying into his ass. I loved it. And then on his deathbed, using a freaking skull to freaking scrape up the predator's leg.
Yeah,
he's like one last big middle finger to him.
Right. I will say this. That I thought the acting of Tabe and Naru, I thought I thought it was good. The acting of the other Indians, their friends that were with them, the acting was pretty weak.
Not really, no.
The acting was pretty weak. Now, and the people in the camp, the war chief, and those people, there wasn't much acting with them. They weren't in the movie that much. The moms,
they were extras.
The mom was good. She didn't have a big part, but it was pretty much just completely centered around Naru. Naru and Sari. Okay, I got to talk about Sari. Sari's her dog. I looked it up. Yeah. Sari is an American. He was adopted specifically for this movie, and they adopted him. And I don't know who owns him now, but they adopted him.
He looks like a Pasenji.
No, he's an American dingo, also known as a Carolina dog.
Wait, that's a thing?
Yep, an American dingo. I
want a dingo.
It's more commonly referred to as a Carolina dog in the States, but it's called an American dingo. That's the breed. Yes, a dingo ate my baby. Yeah. I want to be able to. I just want to be able to say that anytime I call my dog. Don't eat the baby. Come here. So anyway,
and Dad, get one.
He. To apparently be an adopted dog, I don't know when they adopted him and what kind of training, but he was so alert. You could just see the intelligence and the alertness in his face with everything he did. I fell in love with him. I mean, he went right up there with my John Wick.
He was the true star of the movie.
He immediately shot up to right up there with my John Wick dog. So now it's like, okay, I've always said when I get a new dog, I want it to be a John Wick dog. Now I'm going, maybe not. Might be Sorry. It could be that. I'm not sure. Maybe.
Dad.
So, but the cinematography was beautiful. I thought the soundtrack was great.
I love Native American music.
And there wasn't even a lot of it was just a good soundtrack. And yes, there was some Native American stuff in there, but just the soundtrack itself was not all Native American. And it was the kind of soundtrack that you could tell the difference between the 80s movie and a 2022 movie. The music was there and it set the mood, but it wasn't noticeable. You didn't sit there and go, wow, that's pretty loud, like you did in Predator, because it was just constant and kind of in your face a lot. This was more just mood setting. It was fantastic. So yeah.
Did we ever talk about how Naru's medicine learning helped her against 22 Predator?
No. Very good, very good. Thank you. If you guys remember from Predator, one of the things that Schwarzenegger's character, that Dutch figured out, was that it was heat, that he had heat vision, that the Predator had heat vision, and when he crawled out of the stream and was covered in mud, the Predator couldn't see him. That's when he realized that he couldn't see him because the mud was protecting his heat from coming out. Well, in this movie, starts with she's in the tent with her mom, and her mom is making some medicine for the war chief who has a bad leg, and she doesn't put, I forgot what, tatsu flower or something like that. Anyway, it's an orange flower, and she asked her mom why she didn't put it in there, and she said, well, how did you know about it? She said, well, you taught me. Then when they find their friend that gets attacked by the mountain lion, she gives them some of this flower, this orange flower, and it cools their blood. It makes them cold and drops their body temperature. And she really
that helps them bleed slower, right? Helps the blood clot.
She did it,
doesn't it?
It slows their blood. It cools them down so he wouldn't bleed out because he had so many cuts on him. But after the attack in the camp and all the French Canadian trappers had been killed, all the fur trappers had been killed.
Oh, that scene was badass.
Yeah, the one
really got to see the Predator just go ham on them.
So one of them comes back and he's lost a leg, and he knows that she has she's the healer. She has got medicine, and so she helps him. He asks her for help, and he says, "If you help me, I'll give you my gun and show you how to use it." So she does, and she gives him some of this orange flower, and then the Predator comes into camp and is standing right over him and can't see him because his blood has cooled. That's when she realizes that it's the flower.
Until he steps on him.
Right, then he steps on him and he screams.
And stabs him in the freaking face.
But that's what. So she took some of that flower, and so the Predator couldn't see her. Now, do we want to talk about how he ended up dying, or do we want to say that because this is a brand new movie, so I don't think we should spoil it how it ends.
Let's not spoil it, but let's just say Naru
hold on.
is a badass.
Time. Hold on.
What?
Our sound reset, so you were talking and there was no sound, so I wanted to just wait. Okay, now say what you're going to say.
Okay, let's just say Naru is a badass.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Very satisfying ending.
And some people were disappointed in the ending. I wasn't that disappointed in the ending. I thought it was okay. Some people
loved it. She basically became the new war chief.
It's of the Predator, and look, when you get into Predator 3, Alien vs. Predator, you're getting into those kind of movies, they get really bad. I mean, I think at one point...
Alien.
So, but this, as a movie, an enjoyable movie that happened to be about the Predator with action and killing and this kind of stuff, it was my favorite.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. And
let's roll for the next movie.
So that was... I can't recommend this movie enough for people. If you like the Predators movies,
10 out of 10. And
no,
you know me, I'm very frugal with my movie ratings.
I won't give it a 10 out of 10 simply because it has some problems. There's some of the acting is not that great. I would say 8 or 9 out of 10. Just to be conservative. I definitely wouldn't say 10 out of 10. It's not the perfect movie, but it's pretty stinking good. So yeah. Oh, and if you really want to get a really immersive feel, there's a version of the movie that is completely in Comanche. The entire thing is Comanche language. So if you really want to get immersed into it, watch it with a Comanche language. So anyway. So yeah, so we can roll for the next movie if you don't have anything else to say.
I've always wanted to learn language.
I can't recommend this movie enough for those of and I have most of my friends have seen it already that want to see it, but I would definitely recommend you watch this movie. And this is why I decided to start watching the TV show Legion, because Amber Midthunder is in it. She's one of the main characters in Legion. because I started looking her up and found out that she was in it. I'm like, well, I've always wanted to see that show. Now I really want to see that show. And what? How cool is that name? Amber Mid Thunder. No, her name is Mid Thunder.
Mid Thunder.
Mid Thunder. Yes.
That is definitely a Native American name.
Yeah, and Tabe's name, his name is Dakota Beavers.
That's the best name ever.
Just saying.
He needs to go into comedy. There's a whole spiel just in the name.
I was thinking about another genre of movies with a name like Dakota Beavers.
No, Dad, no. Okay. You need Jesus. You need Jesus.
I have Jesus. So
really,
grace, man, it's grace. It's grace that keeps me alive, dude. Grace and mercy keeps me alive. Okay, so you ready? So roll for our next movie.
Do it.
All right. So we're gonna roll for our next movie. So the way we do this is we roll a 20-sided die to kind of figure out what service we're gonna use. We look at Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Prime. I think did we add HBO Max? So
yes,
let's see what we got here. So I rolled
good.
So I rolled a 12, and so that would be Netflix. So we're doing Netflix again. All right. And then let me roll 10-sided dice to see what genre we're doing.
I really need something cleansing.
And I rolled a 5, and that would be comedy.
Yes.
Now see, and here's the thing with comedies. Comedies today, man, they're usually pretty stinking raunchy, pretty yucky. We'll see. So let's see what I got, okay? All right, and I rolled a 37. So I'm going to go to the comedy genre on Netflix and find the 37th movie in the list, and that's the movie we're going to watch for next time. So y'all hang tight, and I'll be right back. Okay, so it looks like we're going to watch a movie from, is it 2020? I think it's 2020.
All our movies have been recent.
They've been recent. From 2020 called The Paper Tigers.
It sounds foreign.
And here's the, no, it's not. Here's the little quotes from it. 3 kung fu prodigies have grown into washed up middle-aged men. Now one kick away from pulling their hamstrings. But when their master is murdered, they must juggle their dead-end jobs, dad duties, and old grudges to avenge his death. Dude,
any big names?
Listen. This is Grown Ups Meets Karate Kid. It's exactly what it sounds like. Grown Up Meets Karate Kid or Grown Up Meets Enter the Dragon. If Bruce Lee had a dad bod and a pot belly, a beer gut, maybe that's what it is. So the Paper Tigers, old washed up middle-aged men, have to rechannel their kung fu mastery to find their teacher's killer, their sensei's killer. There you go. That's what we're watching. The Paper Tigers.
And any big names?
I don't know. Let's see if I can pull that up and see. The cast. See if I recognize any of these names. Yuji Okumoto, Yoshi Saduraso, Brian Lee, Ron Yuan, Jae Soon Park, Andy Lee, Matthew Page.
So it is a foreign movie.
No, it looks like it's English language. It looks like it's an American movie. It's just because it's martial arts, they have a lot of Asian Americans in the movie. So there you go.
All right.
So we're gonna watch. We're gonna watch. David Spade and Adam Sandler and what's his name do kung fu on people. Apparently, Kevin James do kung fu on people. Yeah. So that's what we're doing.
You can do it.
Yeah. So that's all I got. You got anything else you want to talk about?
My legs hurt.
Okay. We do this every Monday night, 7 o'clock. We also do some co-op game streaming called Game Passing Through on Saturday mornings at 8 o'clock.
We've been recently doing It Takes Two.
Yeah, so that's the
Fought
plan.
a bunch of bees earlier.
Yeah, that's the plan this
Wasps.
Saturday. Our stream schedule may get messed up because of some things that I have to do. It depends on how early I have to start doing that stuff. But the plan is every Saturday morning we do that. Every Monday night we do this. And we just kind of hang out and talk about stuff. Now, coming up soon, we're going to be talking more and more about Dragon Con because it's getting closer. We didn't talk about that at all. And then, of course, when we're at Dragon Con, we're going to be at Dragon Con. And we'll have a bunch of stuff to talk about from there. But yeah, I don't have anything else to say. I'm ready to go. My attic was way hotter than I was expecting today. So even with the air conditioning running. So I want to go downstairs and cool off. So y'all have a great week. Have a great time. Come back and see us. And always remember,
if it bleeds, you can kill it.
Okay. I guess that's what we're going with this week. I guess that's the tagline this week. Wow, I wasn't expecting that one.
Still works though, doesn't it?
Apparently.
You're still here? It's over. Go home.